Welcome students to Module 4, Lesson 11. Today's objective is I can solve and create fraction word problems involving addition, subtraction, and multiplication. Alright, for the concept development portion of this lesson, we're going to be doing the problem set, so you can print out your problem set worksheet and follow along. Number 1 says, Kim and Courtney share a 16-ounce box of cereal. By the end of the week, Kim has eaten 3/8 of the box and Courtney has eaten 1/4 of the box of cereal. What fraction of the box is left? So let's go ahead. We can solve this two different ways. First, let's just look at it by Kim, what Kim ate and then what Courtney ate. So let's go ahead and take a look at Kim. It says that she ate 3/8 of the 16-ounce box of cereal. So this is what we've been working on. We're going to figure out what 3/8 of, that's a multiplication sign, 16 ounces is. So 3 times 16 over 8. I know that 8 goes into 8 and 8 goes into 16, so I can cross cancel and have my new equation, which is 3 times 8, 16, 2 over 1, which equals 6 over 1, which means she ate 6 ounces of that box. Now let's go to Courtney. We'll call her Court. I know that she ate 1/4 of the 16 ounces. So I'm going to figure out what is 1/4 of 4 times 16. I'm going to solve that by saying 1 times 16 over 4. I know that I can cross cancel because 4 goes into 4 and 16. So my new equation is 1 times 4, 8, 12, 16, 4 over 1, which means she ate 4 ounces of that cereal box. So together, if I add the 6 ounces that Kim ate and the 4 ounces that Courtney ate, together I know that they ate 10 ounces of that cereal box, of that 16-ounce cereal box. So 16 ounces minus the 10 ounces that they ate gives me 6 ounces left over. So the question asks me what fraction of the box is left over, not how many ounces are left over. So 6 out of 16 is the fraction that is left over. And you might probably notice too that I can still simplify this because I know that 2 goes into 6 and I know that 2 goes into 16, which gives me 6 divided by 2 is 3, 16 divided by 2 is 8. So the final reduced simplified answer is 3/8. Another way we can solve this is by combining Kim and Courtney's fractional amount that they ate from the beginning. So I can say that Kim ate 3/8 plus Courtney, who ate 1/4. So now I can figure out together how much of that box they ate. So we have to make sure we have a common denominator. 3/8 is going to stay the same, but I have to multiply 4 by 2 to get the 8, which means I have to do the same to the top, which means together they ate 5/8 of the box. Now we know that a whole or a total has to have a matching numerator and denominator, so we know that 8/8 would represent the whole box. If they ate 5/8 of that box collectively, then we know that they would have 3/8 of the box left as the remainder. And that actually, doing it that way, does answer the question, what fraction of the box is left? All right, let's look at number 2. It says, Mathilda has 20 pints of green paint. She uses 2/5 of it to paint a landscape and 3/10 of it while painting a clover. She decides that for her next painting, she will need 14 pints of green paint. How much more paint will she need to buy? So let's go ahead and take this in 2 sections. We first of all know that she has 20 pints. Okay, out of that 20, we see that she's going to use 2/5 of it to paint a landscape. So let's go over here and look at landscape. She uses 2/5 of 20 pints. So let's go ahead and look at that as, that's actually 2 times 20 over 5. Now, I can see right away that I have some cross-canceling opportunities because 5 goes into both 5 and 20, which would give me the new equation of 2 times 4, 5 goes into 24 times, over 1 because 5 goes into 5 1 times, which means that she uses 8 pints on the landscape. Okay, moving on, it says that she uses 3/10 while painting a clover. So on her clover, she uses 3/10 of her 20 pints of 20. So I'm going to create my equation for it, 3 times 20 over 10. And I'm lucky again because I see cross-canceling opportunities. 10 goes into 20 and 10. So I can write a new equation that says 3 times 2 because 10 goes into 20 2 times over 1 because 10 goes into 10 1 times. That means that the clover took 6 pints. So that's a big one. So what I know is that with the landscape and the clover together, she used a total of 8 plus 6 pints. That's a total of 14 pints for these 2 pieces of art. Now if I come back into my story problem and I read it, continue reading, it says that she decides that for her next painting she's going to need 14 pints of green paint. The question is asking me, how much more paint will she need to buy? Well, so she's getting ready to do another painting, and she had 20, but she used 14 on the landscape and the clover, so she doesn't have 20 ounces, or she doesn't have enough anymore. How much paint does she have left over though? Well, we need to figure that out. I know that she started with 20 pints. I know she used a total of 14 for the landscape and the clover. 20 minus 14 will give me a difference of, not 6. Oh yeah, that's 6. 6 pints. So I know she still has 6 that she can use. That's not enough for her 14 pints she's going to need to use. But the good news is that she doesn't have to go out and buy a whole 14 pints because she's already got 6. So in order to figure out the difference, we're going to take 14 pints that she's going to need. We're going to subtract the 6 that she still has. And what are we left with? That's right, 8 pints. So the answer is, how much more paint will she need to buy? She's going to need 8 more pints. Another way you could solve this is like we did with the cereal question, is we can combine the 2 parts together right away. So it says that she has 20 pints of green paint and she uses 2/5 of it and 3/10 of it. So right away we could add these fractions, 2/5 plus 3/10. We're going to want to make sure that we find a common denominator, 10, and 5 goes into 10 2 times, so we have to do that to the top to get our new numerator. And when we add these together, we have a total of 4, 5, 6, 7 tenths. That's how much she used to paint. So we're going to have to ask ourselves, well, what is 7/10 of, or times 20? The equation would be 7 times 20 over 10. We're going to look for cross-canceling opportunities, and yes, 10 goes into both 20 and 10. So when we do the math, we can cross-cancel here. This would be 1, this would be 2. Our new equation is 7 times 2 over 1, which means 14 ounces. So 14 ounces of paint is how much she used. It was the 7/10 out of 20. That's how much she used to paint the landscape and the clover. So it says how much more will she need? Now we're going back to where we were when we left off. She had 20. She used 14. That means she has 6 pints left over. She's still going to need more. So she wants to have she's going to need 14 to do her next project. So 14 minus 6 means she's going to have to go out and buy 8 more pints. All right, let's take a look at number 3. It says Jack, Jill, and Bill each carried a 48-ounce bucket of full water down the hill. By the time they reached the bottom, Jack's bucket was only 3/4 full, Jill's was 2/3 full, and Bill's was 1/6 full. How much water did they spill altogether on their way down the hill? So we're trying to figure out how much water they spilled. Now, we can break this up like we've been doing. Let's go ahead and look at Jack first. We know that they all started out with 48-ounce bucket, but we know by the time they got to the bottom of the hill, they didn't have all their water. It says Jack's bucket was only 3/4 full. So for Jack, I need to figure out what is 3/4 of the full bucket of 48. So I'm going to do that by saying 3 times 48 over 4. Look for cross-canceling opportunities. 4 goes into 4 and 4 goes into 48. That leaves me with my new equation. 3 times 4 goes into 48 12 times over 1. 3 times 12 is 3, 6, 3 over 1. So he made it to the bottom with 36 ounces still in his bucket out of the 48. Now let's look at Jill. Jill got to the bottom with 2/3 of a full bucket. So for Jill, I need to figure out what is 2/3 of 48. So 2 times 48 over 3. Look for cross-canceling opportunities. 3 does go into 48. You might not have noticed that, but it does. And the new equation is going to be 2 times, well, how many times does 3 go into 48? 3 goes into 4 one time with 1 left over. 3 goes into 18, 6, 12, 18, 6 times. And then that's 3 goes into 3 one time, that's over 1. Now I need to figure out what 16 is 2 times. 6, 12, carry the 1, 2, 32 over 1. So she made it down the hill with 32 ounces still in her bucket. Now let's go ahead and look at Bill and what Bill did. Bill had 48 ounces just like everyone else. When he got to the bottom, his bucket was 1/6 full. Oh my, that means he lost 5/6 of his bucket. Bill must have been a child. Just kidding, guys. You're all children. Okay, so what is 1/6 of 48? So again, we're going to solve 1 times 48 over 6. We're going to look for cross-canceling opportunities. Does 6 go into 48? 6 times 8 is 48, so that would be a yes. And our new equation is 1 times, this turns into 8. 6 goes into 6 one time, so poor Bill, he only got to bring 8 ounces down. So if we were just trying to figure out how much they got down the hill with, how much water total, we could just add these 3 amounts up. But the question is not asking us how much water did they have after they got to the bottom of the hill, you see. It actually asks us how much water did they spill altogether on the way down the hill. So we need to find not what they have, but what they don't have. Any ideas on how to figure that out? Right, well, we're going to need to find the difference. So we know that Jack, Jill, and Bill all started with 48 ounces. we know that when they got to the bottom, we know that Jack still had 36 ounces. So how much did he spill? Well, we can find the difference by subtracting. 36 or 48 minus 36 gives us 12 ounces. He spilled 12 ounces. Now Jill had 48. When she got to the bottom, she had 32 ounces left over. So to find the difference of that, we'll take 32 from 48, and we see that she spilled 16 ounces on the way down. And our friend Bill, he had 48 ounces. He came back with 8 ounces, so that means he lost a total of 40 ounces on the way down. Now, this is how much we lost, and this is how much they had. So the question is asking how much water did they spill all together. Now we're going to add, but we're not going to add this side up. We're going to add how much they lost all together. 12 plus 16 plus 4, that's 8. 28 plus 4. 32 ounces of water is how much they lost, or they spilled. Oh, wait. No. Not 4 ounces. My guy right here. 40 ounces. He spilled 8, so he lost what I was going to say. Okay, so we have 40 plus 16 plus 12, which is 40, 56, 66, 67. The answer is they spilled a total of 68 ounces. All right, number 4 says, Mrs. Diaz makes 5 dozen cookies for her class. 1/9 of her 27 students are absent the day she brings the cookies. If she shares the cookies equally among the students who are present, how many cookies will each student get? Well, first I think I need to figure out how many cookies she has. It says 5 dozen. So I know that a dozen has 12, so 5 times 12 will tell me how many cookies she has, and that's a total of 60. So we have 60 cookies here. The next thing I'm looking at is that it says that 1/9 of 27 students are absent. Well, what is 1/9 of 27 students? Let me think. Let me see here. So 1 times 27 over 9. Can I cross cancel? Does 9 go into 27? 27. Yes, it does. So that's 1 times 3 over 1, which means 3 students are absent. Because it says 1/9 of her 27 students are absent. So 3 students are absent. So I know she had 27 minus 3 of those kids. That means she only has 24 students in her class today. Okay, the next part of this question says, if she shares the cookies equally among the students who are present, how many cookies will each kid have or be able to get? So she's got 60 cookies, 24 students. How many cookies will each student get? How are we going to solve this? Well, one way I can write this in a fraction is 60 divided, because I have 60 cookies, and I'm going to divide them by 24 students. So remember, this is a division sign, an add of sign. So 60 divided by 24. I'm going to look for a way to simplify this fraction. I know that I can divide 24 by 12 and 60 by 12. And that would give me, let's see, 60 divided by 12 is 5. I know that 5 times 12 is 60. And 12 goes into 24, 24, 2 times. So I can simplify this into 5 halves. Well, as you can see, that's an improper fraction. So I can flip this and pull some holes out of here. So 2, 4, that's 2 holes I can take out with 1 left over, and the denominator stays 2. So each student gets 2.5 cookies. If you didn't do it the fraction way, another way you might have solved was by looking at the 60, the total amount of cookies, and dividing it by 24. You could do this the long division way too. 24 goes into 60 2 times. 48, 2 times 24 is 48. We would subtract, we would get 12, and then the answer would be 2 wholes with 12 24ths left over. And then you could actually simplify this. 12 divided by 12, 24 goes into 12, and then that would turn into 2 1/2. All right, so number 5 is create a story problem about a fish tank for the tape diagram below. Your story must include a fraction. So I would like you to come up with a story problem using the information from the, from the question, where it shows you that there's a total amount of 84, and then there's something that's broken up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal parts. And then the question you're going to ask us is going to be trying to find out what 1, 2 of those 6 parts are. So do your best to write a story problem and post it to the comment section for this week so that we can read your story problems and try and solve it ourselves. Okay? This will be one of your assignments for this week. So you will have a total of 3 math assignments this week. I look forward to reading your story problems. Do your best, and I'll be checking. Thanks.